Welcome to the Natural Health Podcast, where we bring awareness of sustainable health in the business hustle space. The Natural Health Podcast is perfect for the high-performing, business-minded individuals who want to work with their biochemistry to achieve optimal health. It's Wednesday, which means it's time for What Would I Do? In today's episode of Natural Health Podcast, we discuss this week's questions. All questions are kept confidential. I read them and answer them as if it was me, hence why it's called What Would I Do Wednesday. The information provided is not to be taken as advice and is solely for information purposes only. I am not here to cure, treat, or provide medical advice. I'm here to educate and inform you so you're able to take steps towards optimal health. Please discuss any medical health issues with your healthcare professional. Let's get into today's question. I've been getting some absolutely amazing questions, so if you have any, shoot them through, let me know. This week's question is about flying, right? So I've got a question saying, how can I avoid getting bloated when I fly on a plane? Every time I get on a plane, I get bloated. What a great question. I know many of us are not flying at the moment, but for the individuals that are flying or looking at flying in the future, please listen to this episode. It's going to help you. And what I'm going to talk about today has helped me dramatically. It's helped my family, it's helped my friends that I have shared this with, and most of them have no bloating, right? Let's first look into the topic of flying and bloating, right? So your gastrointestinal tract is like a long tube, and any gas trapped in there will expand and put more pressure on it, right? This huge tube, gas stuck in there causes the expansion, which causes the bloating, the expansion, right? So this excess gas is to be expected given the atmospheric pressure in the plane. Just think of your ears or a water bottle popping, right? They pop. You hear your ears popping when you're flying. This is happening because the air is squeezed into tight places, right? Food we're served irritably, the type that is over-processed, refined, which puts added strain on our digestive systems and may cause gas or abdominal swelling, bloating in the plane, right? And it's a little bit uncomfortable because you don't know who you're sitting next to, and then you might be like, ooh, I'm bloated. And the only way to release this bloating is to let it rip, which is, I'll get into that, right? Which is quite interesting, right? So because the air cabin is pressurized to resemble atmospheric conditions 2,000 to 3,000 meters above sea level, your body must deal with lower atmospheric pressure and a reduced supply of oxygen, which you may not be used to, right? Especially individuals who don't even exercise or who don't climb or have never gone up in the mountains or lived in the mountains, right? Or anything along those lines, right? So this gas expands under low pressure, which means that your body's tissue is unusually swollen with all this expanding gas, which may also cause, some people may have fluid retention and so forth. The humidity on a plane is much lower than on the ground because the air circulation in the cabin is so carefully regulated. So, which means you're going to get a lot more dehydrated than usual. So you may only need to drink, a liter of water, but because you're up there and because of the pressure, to keep that 1 liter, you actually need to drink 2, right? And what happens is, because you may be dehydrated, your cells may be drying out. They become less effective at all the functions, including absorbing nutrients from foods and also excreting of waste food and water, which can cause you to be bloated, right? So these are some of the things, without going into so much detail and so much science about it, as to why you may be bloated, right? But one thing also, just think about it, right? Just think about it. Us as humans, we are not made to eat in the air. We don't have wings for a reason, right? We don't have these wings flapping on our back, which means we're not supposed to be eating in high altitudes, in high air, as high as the plane, right? So that's something to keep a note of, right? So some questions that you should ask yourself is, how long is your, before you even go there, have you flown before? What have been the effects of you flying previously? Do you get constipation? Do you get diarrhea? Do you get bloated? Do you vomit? Are you dehydrated? What do you get when you usually fly? Okay, to get a bit of a note to where it is at, right? Then we'll look at your itinerary. How long is your flight? Okay, so we figure out how long your flight is. Are you changing time zones during this flight? Is there a time zone change? Is your flight in the morning, in the afternoon, or at night? Which part of your circadian rhythm is your flight in, right? Do you usually get diarrhea or constipation without even flying? Or when you do fly, do you get diarrhea or constipation? What clothes are you thinking of wearing whilst you are flying, right? Is your bloating caused by your digestion or by your fluid water retention? Do you usually get water retention? What foods usually cause you to bloat, or what foods usually cause you to have diarrhea or constipation or any digestive issues, right? These are some of the things to ask yourself before you fly, okay? So then what would I do? What would Mihaela do if she was about to fly, right? Number one thing that I would do is I would try and fast during my flight. This is where it's key to remember how long your flight is. I remember the last time last year I flew to Croatia. So I flew from Melbourne to Perth all the way to London to Croatia, right? Huge flight, so many hours. But the biggest flight was from Perth to London. Don't get me wrong, maybe 18 hours or something. During those 18 hours, I had no food. Absolutely no food. Right, I tried to also make sure I don't get jet lag, and I do have an episode on that, and that's to regulate my circadian rhythm and so forth. So during this flight, I made sure I was sleeping to get in line with my circadian rhythm. And I took a number of herbal supplements, and so forth to ensure I get into a deep sleep, a number of little hacks that I use, right? So that's the number one thing. If you get anything out of this episode is fasting. But remember, fasting is only okay for certain people. Make sure you talk to your healthcare professional before you do any fasting. So because we're not made to eat in the air, right? So if you cannot fast, here are some other ones. Here are some other examples, right? Fasting in the air is the number one thing, because why would we put extra stress into our body when we don't need to, right? The other thing is, if someone's unable to fast, what I would do is I would avoid a huge meal before flying. Huge meal. I would avoid fruit due to the fructose that can cause gas. Vegetables such as cauliflower, garlic, cabbage, broccoli, and so forth, I would try and avoid those because they cause bloating and gas as it is. Water. Don't be dehydrated, right? What did I do? I drank a cup every hour. So for those 18 hours, I had 18 cups. I was so annoying to those flight attendants because I was like, can I have some water? Can I have some water? Can I have some water? The best scenario is that you bring your own filtered water. However, in some places you just can't, right? What I also did is I bought hydrolytes, and if you're unable to bring your own hydrolytes and make your own hydrolytes, you got to buy some, right? This is amazing because it keeps you hydrated, right? Don't hold it in. If I need to go toilet, I'm going to go to the toilet, right? If I need to release flatulence, I'm going to go to the bathroom and release flatulence. That is the worst thing that you can do, is hold it on. Just let it go. Release it. Let it go. That's what a toilet's there for. Everyone's using a toilet. Just use it, right? Clean it up. Make sure it's all clean and just use it. Breathing exercises. So breathing exercises to calm your nervous system and put in a parasympathetic nervous system in a mode where it's able to rest and digest. So we're going to do some breathing exercises where we calm our body and put it into parasympathetic nodes, right? As soon as you touch earth, as soon as you land and you can touch earth, take your shoes off, get on the ground and get grounding. Earthing, grounding, do it, right? The other one is clothing. What clothes am I wearing? I would make sure I'm wearing the most loose clothes as possible, even if they have to be a size or 2 sizes bigger and I look like this gangster. I don't care, because I can't have tight clothing. I can't have tight anywhere because our body's going to expand during that flight, right? The other one is also, if you know what foods usually bloat you, if I know what foods usually bloat me more, what I do is I would avoid those foods, right? If I needed to have snacks, I would have protein snacks. Pack my bag. If I'm able to pack my own bags, have protein snacks available for me that are not high in carbohydrates or sugar, right? If need be, if I'm eating, make sure I have digestive enzymes, bitter foods before my meal. I would avoid alcohol and caffeine, run away from it, do not have it. Not only will it hydrate you more, it will cause issues like bloating, right? Another thing that I would maybe have, talk to your healthcare professional, is magnesium, which may help with fluid retention if fluid retention is causing my bloating or if I may be constipated. I would stay away from carbonated beverages. So for what it is for me, I know such a boring flight, water. It's water for me, right? I'll make sure I'm walking, stretching. I'm that weird person that's doing the yoga in the back, the weird person that's hanging and moving and shaking and doing my own little Zumba dance. That's me, because you need to move your body. So unless I'm sleeping, I'm moving, right? I'm not eating, I'm sleeping, or I'm moving. That's what I'm doing. Or I'm talking to the person next to me. Avoid chewing. I would avoid chewing gum. I know it helps some people with the ears. It depends what you need to do, but because you may swallow some air, which may cause that bloating, right? If I was to eat, it would be pre-flight, either a protein shake or some greens that do not cause me any bloating, or probably most likely a protein shake or a soup, something that's fluidy. Right, that is what I will do to ensure I don't get bloated on my flight and after the flight. I hope I shed some light to your question. Anyone that's listening who may have this issue, bloating in the air or after you come down, right? If you have any questions, please feel free to contact me at mahela.raguse on Instagram, and I will be in touch with you and hopefully be able to answer your questions via the Natural Health Podcast. Remember, you're not alone in a journey to optimal health, and I'm here to assist you and make this journey a pleasant one. Until next Wednesday, love you.